Thank you, Madam. Thank you, Madam Chair.
You're recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm not sure why we're debating this issue again. We just spent a very heated hearing last week on this issue, and here we go again. Once again, there are many things that this committee could be doing, like taking on sensible gun reforms to stop the scourge of gun violence that's killing our kids, but that is not what this majority is choosing to do. Instead, we're finding a way to talk about immigration, a subject outside of this committee's jurisdiction, and I say that as the ranking member of the Immigration Subcommittee of the Judiciary Committee. And we're not talking about how important immigration is to this country, how important immigrants are to our country, the many ways in which immigrants enrich our country. We're not talking even about how to support immigrant kids in school, which is such an important topic for us to be taking on. Instead, there is this continuing divisive rhetoric using words that we have asked politely not to be used, words that are insulting to immigrants, generations of immigrants across our country. But let me be clear once again. Border numbers are down over 60% from their peak. The headline in Politico is that this is the migrant crisis that still has not arrived. If my colleagues across the aisle were serious about addressing immigration, I welcome that effort. My Democratic colleagues and I have put forward legislation that would fix the immigration system and would provide fair, secure, humane ways to seek safety while strengthening border security, something that the American public, by the way, broadly supports. But here's the thing. It is just clear that my colleagues are not interested in fixing immigration. This entire proceeding is a distraction from the fact that my colleagues do not have meaningful solutions on education, the very topic of this committee. Why else do my colleagues take every opportunity with elementary and secondary school legislation to politicize and harm public schools, talking about banning books, whitewashing history, keeping trans kids from playing sports? If my colleagues spent half the time that they've invested in politicizing classrooms, maybe schools would be fully funded. Maybe we could help deliver an education to the low-income students who depend on Title I, who have the most to gain from education investments. Maybe we would be investing in the priorities that parents have identified, like addressing kids' mental health or providing school meals and universal pre-K. Schools are struggling across the board between improving learning outcomes, recovering from learning loss related to COVID, and the educator shortage. President Biden proposed raising the bar by increasing Title I by $2.2 billion and fully funding the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. Since then, unfortunately, my colleagues across the aisle have proposed cutting $7 billion to those same programs, the equivalent of removing 108,000 educators from schools serving both low-income students and students with disabilities. I once again would respectfully ask my colleagues across the aisle to stop using words like invasion. They are not helpful to the discussion. They are insulting, and they have a long history of violence in this country. Please do not use those words, and let's focus our priorities on what we should be discussing in this committee, not another attack on immigrants. I urge my colleagues to oppose this bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.